With FC25 right round the corner, I'm sure you're excited to start your first career mode save and take charge of either the team you support or a team you have a soft spot for who you think is in desperate need of a rebuild. One of the most popular teams FIFA players use year after year is of course arguably the biggest club in world football, Manchester United. It's now been over a decade since they won the Premier League, and after 5 managers and £1.5 billion spent, they haven't even come close to dominating English football yet again. One of the big reasons this has been the case is due to their poor decisions in the transfer market. Time and time again, United have splashed the cash on a player who is being hyped up to be the next big thing, but so often it has just not worked out for them. So in this video, I'm going to help out all of you Man United managers make sensible and realistic transfer decisions in your future FC25 save. We'll start off by having a look at how this team will line up in FC25. Now of course, this is still FC24, but with the help of mods, I've been able to update pretty much all of the Premier League transfers and even the new kits for the 24/25 season. Now Man United have already had a very decent window bringing in young talents like Joshua Zirkzee, Lenny, Yoro and Manuel Ugarte, as well as some established defenders from Bayern Munich in Mazraoui and former FIFA wonder kid Mathijs De Ligt. As you can see, these are the players I've decided to move on, as I personally think their time is up in Manchester. A player who has been trending for all the wrong reasons is Casemiro. At 32, it is clear to see the Brazilian is well past his best, and in the words of Jamie Carragher,
leave the football before the football leaves you.
Marcus Rashford used to be their most exciting young talent, but in recent years he's been frustratingly inconsistent and seems to have lost his love for the game. I think it's time for a fresh new start for the England international. Finally, I'm going to move on Lindelof, as I just don't want him getting in the way of Yoro's development. Maguire can stay though, as he'll be dipping in his overall anyway, and I think he deserves to stay after reviving his career. Speaking of Lindelof, we do receive an offer from Newcastle, who aim to solve their defensive injury problems with our 29-year-old defender. Also, you might have seen it, the first offer we received for Rashford was from fierce rivals Liverpool, which I found quite funny. We settled for a £12.3 million fee for the Swede as he heads to St James's Park, which was an excellent deal according to the game. Now, I don't think this is the most realistic destination for Rashford, but Wolverhampton Wanderers have come in with a bid as they look to replace Pedro Neto, who in this game has moved to Chelsea just like in real life. And we ended up getting a very decent amount of money for the 26-year-old. 42 million is what we agreed with Gary O'Neill, as he seems to think he'll be able to get the best out of Rashi. Now, here's what you clicked on the video for. Who would I sign for Man United in FC25? Now, of course, I'm going to try to keep these signings quite realistic, but I'll give you 3 suggestions to choose from so you can make a decision for yourself. First up, we have a former Wolves winger who could end up replacing Wolves' new signing. Pedro Gonçalves has been an insane talent for a couple of years now on career mode. He scored 80 goals in over 180 appearances for Sporting Lisbon. Could you make this guy the next Portuguese world beater at Man United? Rumoured to start next year's game at an 83 rating, this lad isn't the quickest, but makes up for that with impressive dribbling stats and deadly shooting. We agree a deal of $37.5 million with Ruben Amorim. Of course, he will probably be more expensive in FC25, but with United's budget, he is still well within your price range. However, if you'd rather sign a younger talent who you think could be the next big thing, then why not sign Las Palmas' tricky winger Alberto Melero? After getting his boyhood club promoted, the 20-year-old scored 3 and assisted 3 in his first La Liga campaign, and this season he's already managed to score a goal in a 1-1 draw against Real Madrid. His standout stats are his acceleration and balance, but with solid passing stats, he can even do a job in a more central role. We managed to negotiate a £20 million deal with the Spanish side, which in today's market is an absolute steal. And the final option is another Spaniard who is the kind of player United have been crying out for years. Alex Baena is a playmaking genius who recorded 14 assists in La Liga last season, which was more than any other player. He's not the fastest with 76 pace, which might put you off, but this guy reminds me of a young Bernardo Silva. He's an extremely well-rounded wide man and a hard work out of possession. I think this guy could transform the United midfield. The negotiations of Villarreal were after our new French wonder kid, who in game was valued at 17.5 mil, so instead I bid that same price for the Spaniard and they ended up accepting it. Now all 3 of these would be great options for your FC25 save, however I want to make the signing that I think is the most realistic, and I think this is the man to go for. Alex Baena, of course, is the cheapest as well, so if you want to try and spend as wisely as possible, this guy is the best budget pick. Gonçalves probably the most ambitious, but with previous success buying from Sporting Lisbon, that deal would make a lot of sense. Malero as well, 20 years old. He's the proper career mode pick, got like 87 potential. However, maybe not experienced enough at a top level to start for a team as big as Man United. But anyway, in comes the Villarreal man. He is going to play on the left for this team as he is right-footed. However, depending on your playstyle, you could play him on the right if you want to cross the ball into target men like Hojlund and Xerxes. And I'm sure you could get a lot of assists with the Spaniard. And if anything happens to Bruno Fernandes, you could even play him centrally in that attacking midfield role. He will thrive anywhere across that front line. Then finally a team comes in for Casemiro, which I think would be a good fit for the former Galactico. Yes, Brighton did come in for the Brazilian services, but I just didn't think that was realistic. Fiorentina want to buy him in a player swap deal. And of course, Sofian Amrabat was at Old Trafford last season. So after returning from his loan spell, I wanted to include him in that deal, but they weren't having it. Instead, we agree a £30 million fee, which is an absolute robbery, but I suppose in-game he is still 84 rated. However, in FC25, we may see him downgraded, so keep that in mind. Now, for his replacement, I'm once again going to give you 3 options to choose from. All young defensive-minded midfielders who will provide solid backup for Kobbie Mainoo and Ugarte. Now, despite being confirmed as a 77 rated player, I'm sure you're going to want to start Kobbie week in, week out. So this list of players are rated just below that. First player I've listed is Samuele Ricci, a really good deep-lying playmaker with really solid physical stats. Not the best strength, so you will have to get him in the gym through training, but technically this guy is superb. 80 in both short pass and ball control with sound defending stats as well. We were able to include a 32-year-old Christian Eriksen in this deal, which means you'd only have to pay around 10 mil up front for the Italian services. Next up, a player who impressed in the Euros for Austria, Nicolas Seyvald, I hope that's pronounced right. He would be an absolute engine in the midfield with a whopping 92 stamina, high work rates too, which is something you do lack in this team with the departure of Scott McTominay. However, this guy has a much higher ceiling with 84 potential. Now obviously his in-game player face doesn't really look anything like him, however I have seen screenshots of a real face scan in the FC25 beta, so that's not something you'd have to worry about when regarding this £17 million signing. Now obviously last season United had injury troubles across their back line, seeing Harry Maguire and Johnny Evans partner up in big 2024. So if as a Man U fan you're terrified of that happening again, this guy can fill that spot as well as in the midfield. Eric Martel is a true CDM with high strength and stamina along with barbaric defensive stats. Isn't the most technically gifted, but at just 11 million, you've got a real gem to cover for Ugarte. 3 really talented midfielders, but the man I'm going to go for is Nicolas Seyvald, the Austrian, as I hope the ginger midfielder can be the next Paul Scholes at Man United. Now, of course, coming to a team as big as this, I did have to give him a pay rise, 50 grand a week, as I signed the number 31 for £17 million, which is a good price according to the game. Could have got him for even cheaper apparently. But with Man U's budget, you are not strapped for cash. As you can see, he can play either that box-to-box role or defensive midfield. Comes in as a central midfielder, but it only takes 2 weeks to convert him to that defensive midfield role. And at 76 overall, he shouldn't be demanding for game time over Kobbie Mainoo. So Man United's star boy can still shine in your FC25 save. So this is how the team looks going into the 24-25 season. You've got Seyvald on the bench. Baena does take up that starting role. Garnacho is playing on the right. However, when rotating, you can easily move him to the left and bring on someone like Diallo or Anthony on that right. Yes, I have kept Anthony. He was only bought last season, and I feel with those 5-star skills and those really good dribbling stats, I think you could get the best out of him in this game. Halfway through the season though, things were not looking good as we were in 8th place 18 games in. However, a shining light this season was our new winger signing, Alex Baena. It's currently our top scorer with 11 goals, 4 assists to go along with it. But I think this is one of the problems we have. Our strikers aren't scoring the goals for us. Xerxes with 7, Hojlund with 3. I wonder who is going to end up the top scorer come the end of the season and be our starting striker. Well, we sims the end of the season and it is a poor finish yet again for Erik ten Hag in the league. Only 7th place, but we do have a chance of Champions League football as we have reached the Europa League final against none other than Jose Mourinho's Fenerbahce. Yes, we are going to play them in the final. The former Man United manager and the former Man United player in Fred. Of course, he joined from Man United recently and somehow he ended up getting a hat-trick in one of his first games under Mourinho. Yeah, no idea how that happened. The Turkish league is just crazy. Now in this final, we are definitely favourites. However, they do not have a bad side at all. Dzeko and Tadic up top, with talents like Szymanski and Livakovic in goal as well. This is not going to be an easy game. We put out a fully strengthened side. Mazraoui comes in for Luke Shaw, who was a bit tired for this game. And up front, we have gone for Rasmus Hojlund, who has outgrown Joshua Zirkzee this season. First chance does come to us as that man is played through. The Dane pulls it back to Bayern, our star signing. Forces an early save out of Livakovic. Then it's Bayern again, bursting down the left, cuts inside, and how is that not a penalty? Gets brought down in the box. The Spaniard can't believe it either. But he is certainly causing the Turkish side problems. As Bruno Fernandes is played through, shoots on the outside of his right foot, goes for the Trivela, but Livakovic is having a quality game so far. If we don't convert these chances, this side could punish us, as they almost do there. Onana comes out quickly. Then on the counter, it's Kobbie Mainoo playing it into Hojlund. Lovely interplay between the two youngsters. The two star boys of Man United, as it's Bayern played through again, curls it on his right foot, but it's just not powerful enough. What I love about Hojlund is that he's a big lad who can throw his weight around up top, and we took advantage of that as Mathijs De Ligt plays a beautiful long ball. Hojlund nods it down into Kobbie Mainoo, and what a strike that is from the Man United Academy product. What a moment for him. He is that player who steps up in big games, as he gives us the lead in this Europa League final. I'm telling you, he is him. You have to be starting him in your Man United saves, despite that low rating. This lad can reach the very top. Fenerbahce would respond though, as they get two good chances here. Great save from Onana. Then we tried to play out from the back, but despite De Ligt's good pass earlier, that pass was not good enough, as he gives it straight to the opposition, and they very nearly score from it. De Ligt hoofs it long this time as we look to build out from the back and start an attack of our own. Mainoo plays it into Mazraoui, sees one of Bayern. Bayern played through. He's had plenty of chances and he gets another one through on goal. Decides to smash it on the left foot and he finds that far post to give us a 2-goal advantage in the Europa League final. What a signing this guy has been. Fenerbahce though still believe they can get back into this game, as straight from kickoff, Dzeko produces a brilliant block from the Dutch centre-back. Despite that mistake, he has been class in this final. However, from the following corner, I couldn't quite see it as I did switch to the tactical view, but as you can see on the replay, we don't deal with the corner as it falls kindly to Söyüncü, and the former Leicester City centre-back heads it right in between the outstretched legs of Antony and Onana. A late scare, but we will see out this result, as in his third season, Erik ten Hag has won yet another trophy. Of course, in your save, I assume you're going to be using your own created manager. But maybe if you want that luck in the cup competitions, Erik ten Hag is the man you should use to control Man United in your FC25 save. As Bruno Fernandes lifts up the trophy and we confirm Champions League football for next season. But we're not done there, guys. As you can see, we did reach another cup final, this time the FA Cup against Tottenham Hotspur, a chance for Ange to complete the impossible task of winning Spurs a trophy. And despite only playing 3 days earlier, we were still able to get the win, as Ten Hag wins 2 trophies and earns Champions League football for next season. You can't say it's been a bad season, and we could certainly not have done it without that man. Bruno Fernandes got 30 goals in all competitions, along with 14 assists. Bayern, the new signing, 21 goals and 10 assists. What a signing that was for only, I think, £17 million. And as well as outgrowing Joshua Zirkzee in his overall, he did outscore him as well. A solid season from the striker. Only 22 years of age now, he is a really good talent for career mode. Really fast, really strong. I did enjoy using him in that Europa League final. And here are the ratings at the end of Season 2. Of course, I did put development plans on all of these players, which I didn't show. Kobbie Mainoo went up to an 80 rating, Hojlund 82, Garnacho as well, growing very nicely as well. Didn't get many goals for us this season, but that right wing position was shared out between 3 players. So there you go, guys. That is how I think you should start your FC25 career mode with Manchester United. Let me know if you found this video helpful by dropping a like, commenting your thoughts down below, and subscribe, as you will see plenty of FC25 content on this channel. I'll see you in a bit.